Hello, everyone. Hello, and I hope you can all hear me. And thank you very much for joining our seminar today. So I just would like to know whether you can all hear me. If you can just type in the chat box, please, that will be very helpful. Right? And I would appreciate if everyone can mute their microphones, please. Just to make sure that you can all hear me or see me. Hello. Can someone type in whether you can hear me? Okay, great. I hope most of you can hear me. Right. So whilst many of you are still joining us, I would like to thank you for joining the seminar today. And I would use the opportunity to briefly present myself. Today's topic is strong immunity, and I really hope you'll be able to learn something new about how you could improve the function of your immune system in order to prevent infections. So, my name is Mariya Nikodimova, and I'm a qualified nutritional therapist with a 5-year degree in nutritional therapy from the University of West London. As nutritional therapy is considered as complementary medicine in the UK, and it's not very popular in Bulgaria, I would like to actually briefly explain what nutritional therapy is about. So, right, I would like to share my screen with you, and then we can start with the presentation. So, what is nutritional therapy? So, what is nutritional therapy? Nutritional therapy is the application of nutrition science in the promotion of health, peak performance, and individual care. So, it's based on the functional medicine approach, which is quite different from the conventional medicine. I will take as one simple example something that is very common nowadays, namely autoimmune diseases. Autoimmunity is a process where the immune system is dysregulated. Sorry, I'll have to allow other people joining. Thank you. So let's take the example of autoimmunity. Autoimmune conditions are diseases where the immune system is dysregulated. So the immune cells are attacking our healthy body cells. What the traditional medicine will prescribe, those are drugs that downregulate the immune system, or they have anti-inflammatory properties because autoimmunity is considered as an inflammatory condition too. What is the role of nutritional therapies? The first role is actually to identify nutritional imbalances that can lead to the dysregulation of the immune system and inflammation. So once I understand those factors, my role is to treat the root causes, which is actually causing those symptoms. Let's take the example of stress. Stress is a huge factor that can downregulate the immune system. Or another one, it's food allergies or food intolerances. So my role is to identify those factors and treat them. So treat the root causes, not the symptoms, as in the case of inflammation. If we take as an example strong immunity, how we can achieve strong immunity? So we will be looking at different factors that can downregulate the immune system. But before we start and present different key nutrients that can help with immunity, let's take a look at what is a virus and what infections are all about. So when we have a virus, viruses are very different from bacteria. Bacteria can replicate, they can produce on their own without the need of human cells. Whereas viruses, they have a very thick cell membrane. They have their own DNA molecule inside. So they will use human cells to get inside of them and then replicate. How they do that? By attaching to different receptors on the cell membrane of human cells, as you can see on the picture below. If we take as an example, the COVID-19 virus. So how does the virus enter the human cell? This is possible through the so-called AC2 receptors on the human cells, so the virus can enter the cell. Maybe it might be interesting to let you know that AC2 receptors are present in our lung cells. That's why the COVID-19 infection is leading to upper respiratory tract infections. So if the virus has already entered the human cell, how does the virus replicate in order to produce new viruses? So the virus will replicate by taking from the DNA of the human cell in order to produce new viruses. This is possible through one specific enzyme that helps to bind the viral to the human DNA. So once this has happened, new viruses are produced, so they can get out of one single cell and they can go and try to attach to different new human cells. So how we can prevent ourselves from infections in this case? So one of the ways is actually to decrease viral load, what we have in our blood. So if we have already got a virus, no matter what type of virus, so we can actually first decrease the so-called viral load. So how many viruses we have in our bloodstream. This is one of the ways. So we are outside of the cell. Well, the second way of doing it is by working on those cell membranes, on the human cell membranes, by blocking the AC2 receptors or any different types of receptors that are on top of the cells. If the virus has already entered the cell, we can still do something about it to prevent ourselves from infections. So what is the other way? It's if the virus is already inside the cell, we can actually block the enzyme that I have mentioned earlier, which helps with viral replication and production of new viruses. Another way of actually helping our immune system to improve, to fight off infections in the future is by stopping viral mutation. Because what is common for viruses is that they can mutate over the time. And this is the main fear with actually the current COVID-19. If the virus mutates, so the immune system wouldn't be able to recognize it if we have got it in the first place. So when we next meet the virus, we might again get the infection. So we wouldn't have immune tolerance. So what are the key nutrients that can help us prevent from infections? The first and the main nutrient is vitamin C. Vitamin C, everyone knows vitamin C is very helpful for improving our immune system. What is actually the role of vitamin C? The vitamin C can enhance different immune cells. We have different types of immune cells. So those cells that can fight off infections such as viruses and bacteria. So vitamin C improves our immune system by increasing the number of immune cells. Vitamin C has anti-inflammatory properties too. How we can know whether we have enough vitamin C? I will give you one example, and this is very common in young people especially. So if you take a look at your gums, if they're bleeding, so you might be deficient in.
Sorry for the interruption. Some colleagues enter again in the meeting. Can you award them because they have some problems initially?
Yes, sorry. Can you just let me know what kind of problems you're experiencing?
They told me with audio they have some problem with. They didn't hear. They wrote it in the chat, I think. Yeah, they wrote it in the chat. They don't hear you.
They don't hear me, right?
But now maybe said something.
Okay, so can I just ask if everybody now can type in the chat box and let me know if you hear me or not? Sorry. So I'll just stop sharing for 1 second. Can you just let me know whether you can hear me or you can hear me, but it's not enough. I have to turn up the volume. So my microphone is on. I'll turn up the volume. It's up. I can hear you very well too. Okay, great. So I'll wait for a few seconds in order to hear if anyone else is experiencing some problems. Okay, great. Okay, you can all hear me. That's good. Does anyone have any other issues? And would you like me, have you missed some of the presentation or from the beginning? Or you could hear me in the beginning and then you had some time when it has stopped.
We just joined. We were trying to connect up to now. So I don't know, but there is a recording, so we can listen it on the recording later. So however,
yes, great. And you're going to get the presentation to the PDF. So maybe I will just summarize very, very briefly. So what I have been explaining so far for all of you who have just joined. So I was explaining how we can prevent ourselves from infections. So the key, what I'm talking about now are the key nutrients that can help us improve our immune system. I have previously explained how viruses work and how they infect our human cells, because this is important when I explain how different key nutrients can help us with infections. So I believe once you look at the PowerPoint presentation that you're going to get later on, you'll be able to see on the pictures how viruses work. More or less, you're going to get an idea, and probably you're going to watch the recording, so that's going to be very helpful too later on. So I hope I can continue. I have just started with the first nutrient, which is vitamin C, so you haven't missed much of it. I hope I can continue. Thank you. So let me just share my screen again with you. So vitamin C, I have just given one example how we can know if we are deficient in vitamin C. If we take a look at our gums, if they're bleeding or they're swollen, this might be a symptom of vitamin C, because vitamin C, it's not stored in the body. We don't produce it. We have to actually eat it through our food intake. So we have to have it through different food sources. I have summarized for you who might be deficient in vitamin C, what are the different food sources of vitamin C. So I hope you don't mind to skip that information, because you're going to have later on. What I would like to focus now, so if you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and you don't have a healthy diet, so what is the other way of taking more vitamin C on a daily basis? I always suggest having a supplement as vitamin C. Normally, when we talk about vitamin C supplementation, we talk about ascorbic acid. Probably many of you have heard it. But ascorbic acid is very acidic, so many people with gastrointestinal problems might be sensitive to ascorbic acid, or children might be also sensitive to that type of vitamin C. So in my practice, I always suggest magnesium ascorbate as one of the best forms of vitamin C, because it can be taken by children or even those people with inflammation on their gastrointestinal tract. So if we are having enough fruits and vegetables in our diet, I would just suggest, if you would like to take vitamin C on top of your food intake, I would suggest 1,000 micrograms of vitamin C. But if you don't have a good diet, I would actually recommend 3,000 micrograms per day, especially in autumn or winter time. It may be very interesting to share with you that vitamin C has been the only efficient treatment in Chinese hospitals for the current COVID-19. So vitamin C has been intravenously given to patients to treat the infection. So why don't we take enough vitamin C in order to prevent ourselves from different types of infections? So another key nutrient. So remember, I explained one of the ways of preventing infection is by decreasing the viral load, so the number of viruses in our bloodstream. Another way of preventing ourselves is by suppressing the receptors on the human cells. This is helpful through vitamin D. Vitamin D has a very important role in immunity, so it helps with the immune maturation of cells. So what is also important for vitamin D, it has anti-inflammatory properties. Vitamin D, it's very, concentrated in fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, eggs, and dairy products. So the people who might be deficient in vitamin D are vegans, vegetarians, those people who are on very restrictive diets. So vitamin D, how do you know whether you need to supplement vitamin D? I always recommend running a blood test. Blood test will show you whether you're deficient or you don't have sufficient vitamin D levels. So if you're deficient and you need further supplementation, because it's very unlikely if you're deficient to have enough vitamin D through food, so I would suggest taking a supplement. In order to boost your immune system right now in autumn, I recommend having 5,000 international units of vitamin D just for a short period of time, 2 to 4 weeks. And then you can just maintain vitamin D supplementation with 3,000 international units per day. Once again, I would suggest testing your vitamin D levels. And it's really interesting that, especially here in Bulgaria, it's believed that we are not deficient in vitamin D because we have enough sunshine. Well, I must tell you that every second client that I see in Bulgaria is deficient in vitamin D. Before, I used to believe that only people from northern countries such as the UK might be really deficient, but the difference, the reality is different. Yeah, and I believe we Bulgarians have a genetic mutation in the receptors of vitamin D. So once the vitamin D is inside, can't enter the cell. So we have vitamin D, but it's not possible to enter the cells. So what is the next nutrient? It's interesting to know that people who have been prone to the current COVID-19 infection and they have a higher risk of mortality are the ones that have been tested for zinc and they have low zinc levels in their blood. So if we are deficient in zinc and we have infections going around in autumn and winter, so the chance of getting infections, it's much higher. This is why I recommend zinc. It's difficult to have enough zinc nowadays because actually many people have gut problems, and zinc is one of the minerals that needs enough stomach acid to get absorbed through our food. What is the one of the best ways to know whether you're deficient in zinc is if you look at your nails, and if you have white spots, then this might be a sign of zinc deficiency. Another thing is growth retardation or poor wound healing. So you have got, for example, surgery, but your wounds are not healing quicker enough. So this might be a sign of zinc deficiency. So if we would like to prevent ourselves And just to make sure we have enough, we top up and we optimize zinc levels. So what we can do about it, just for a short period of time, I would say not more than 4 weeks, I would suggest having zinc as a supplementation of something like 50 milligrams per day. I would like to make a caution here. So we talk about zinc in general. So all the nutrients, the dose of the different nutrients it's in total. So if you're taking already a multivitamin, so just calculate how much zinc you have already in the multivitamin if you decide to top up with additional zinc. So this is very important. So if you would like to keep maintaining your zinc levels, I would suggest having something like 25 milligrams per day, or increase the different foods that are rich in zinc, such as seafood, nuts, very much, the nuts contain higher amounts of zinc. So if you're having already a healthier diet, you shouldn't be too worried. But if you have low immunity, so you're getting more colds and flu more than twice per year, so you might think about zinc deficiency. What are the best ways of absorbing zinc? It's through liquid products. There are different types of forms of the different nutrients. Zinc, I always use zinc citrate or zinc ascorbate. Zinc gluconate it's another form that is very well absorbed. So the different types of nutrients will have different rates of absorption. This reminds me that I haven't mentioned what are the best sources of the other nutrients. Magnesium ascorbate is the best source for me of vitamin C. Vitamin D, vitamin D as vitamin D3 is cholecalciferol. That this is just one type of vitamin. The most common type of vitamin D is cholecalciferol. So zinc. Are there any other minerals that can help us prevent infections? The next nutrient is selenium. So probably many of you know that selenium, it's a mineral that is high in Brazil nuts. So I would suggest having a handful of Brazil nuts each day. That's going to help with immunity. And also it's important to know that selenium has an important role in the thyroid. So thyroid hormones are synthesized through selenium. One of the nutrients that is needed for production is selenium. So pregnant women or those with thyroid issues might be deficient in zinc, so they might experience more cold and flu each year. So selenium I use in my practice liquid products because it's very well absorbed, and once again it's a mineral, so everything that is absorbed through the oral membrane, so the membrane in our mouth, it's better absorbed because many people have gut issues, so they don't absorb well a tablet, especially tablets. What is the dose of selenium? It depends. If you're eating enough nuts, and once again, Brazil nuts, I wouldn't suggest supplementation because you might have enough of selenium. But if you're not a fan of nuts or seeds, then I would suggest just to boost your selenium levels right now with 300 micrograms for about 4 weeks, I would say by the end of November. And then if you'd like to maintain some dosage of selenium, then I would suggest 100 micrograms. The best sources of selenium as a supplement are sodium selenate or L-selenium methionine. Those are the best ways. So what does selenium has to do with immunity? Well, the selenium can actually stop viral mutation. Once again, if the virus is able to mutate, next time when our immune system meets the virus, we'll experience the same severity of symptoms as before. So if you stop and if you have enough selenium in your blood, in your tissues, then you might fight off infections quicker than you used to be before. I wouldn't focus only on vitamins and minerals. Actually, I will focus in a more general term, what is important for our immune system. Well, probably some of you might know, or you might not know, but 75% of our immune system, of immune cells, are not circulating around in our blood. They're actually produced in the microflora, in the gut microflora. And this is actually logical because the chance of getting any infection or anything from our food, it's quite high. So we have concentrated most of our immune cells in our microflora. In order to prevent us from any bacteria or any viruses or any other pathogens. So why don't we eat then prebiotic foods such as onions, leeks, sauerkraut? In Bulgarian, this is kiselo zele. So sauerkraut, kimchi is quite popular, or simply eating garlic in our cooking. This is going to be a helpful way of improving our microbiota, microflora. If not, taking a probiotic on a daily basis, especially in winter, I always recommend during the whole year, it's quite helpful. So I would like to thank everyone for participating, and I really hope that you have learned something new today. And I will be happy to answer any questions. So you can all unmute your microphones if you have a question, or you can type it in the chat box. So, anyone? Thank you very much for listening. I hope it's helpful. I'm going to email the presentation. So you have key points. Something? Sorry, hello.
Hello, can we ask something?
Yes, sure.
I wanted to ask about the different types of magnesium because I had no idea that there are different types. Maybe that's normal for human beings that are not getting so deep like you. So what is the difference and which one is better to search for, or there is no?
Yeah. Okay, fine. So the question is about magnesium. I will answer magnesium. What I have mentioned earlier in the slides, it was about vitamin C. So magnesium ascorbate, it's a form of vitamin C. So we have the magnesium as a mineral, which is bound to ascorbate. So both molecules, once they get in the body, vitamin C is released in this way. Back to the question of magnesium, for me, one of the best supplementations of magnesium is magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is very highly absorbed. I will give you a tip. So the daily dose for magnesium, it's normally between 300 and 450 milligrams. But this is elemental magnesium. So it's not the whole molecule of magnesium citrate. So one tip, maybe it's useful to look at the labels and see whether you have enough magnesium as a molecule, and the dose is 300 to 450 milligrams. It's probably interesting to let you know that many of us are deficient in magnesium, because magnesium is one of the minerals that is excreted from the body during stress, so as well as B vitamins. So those who are really stressed, or they have chronic stress in their lives, they might be deficient in magnesium and get cramps in their bodies. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Nicoletta, if I'm not wrong.
Hi. My question is, do you think that with a normal diet we can actually have a supplement of all the necessary nutrients that we need?
That's a great question. Okay, so maybe I will answer in a slightly different way. So even if you have the best diet, even if you have organic foods, all your foods are organic, bio foods, I actually don't believe you can get all the vitamins and minerals, because our soil nowadays is very depleted in nutrients. So even the organic food, I don't believe we get enough of each vitamin and mineral. Even myself, I take a very good quality multivitamin each day, even though my diet is quite healthy. So, and once again, most of us are very stressed, and we excrete magnesium, B vitamins, other nutrients. So the chance of being deficient of something in our busy lifestyle is very likely.
So you think that, I mean, would you suggest to take a multivitamin tablet per day, because it's very, it's kind of very complicated to measure and to think about all these different types.
Yes, sure. So if let's take an example. You're quite healthy. You don't get cold and flu each winter, or you don't get it more than twice per year. Probably you're getting enough your vitamins and minerals from your food. But if you're often having some cold symptoms, then I would suggest having just a general multivitamin. That's going to be helpful. And yet again, if you're still experiencing some symptoms, or you are tired every day, then you might be missing some of the different vitamins and minerals. So you might need to top up your levels. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Anyone else with questions? I will be very happy to answer. Or if you have questions later on and you would like me to ask me, so probably you can email me, and I will answer all questions which are from the seminar today, from the webinar. So if you have any other questions, I will be very happy to receive an email and answer them later on.
Just one question is,
yes.
I see now that I'm not drinking enough vitamins. So which companies would you recommend to buy from, like as producers of vitamins?
Well, it depends on, I would suggest choosing a very well-known company so that the nutrients, I would suggest choosing from what you have, if it's a powder of vitamin C or their capsules. So try to choose a very well-known brand, and also the form of the capsule, whether it's a capsule, whether it's liquid, whether it's powder, whether it's tablets. In general, I don't recommend tablets because they're bound to different molecules, so it's very difficult to digest them, and tablets need very strong stomach acid to break them down. So this might be your guidance. If you want to choose vitamin C, choose probably a powder and a very well-known brand, supplement brand, with good reviews.
Could you recommend, are there Bulgarian brands, or everything that, for example, that you're getting is out of Bulgaria? Like, as I don't know, like could you suggest, or at least there was a few brands, or just one, to know what to search for?
If you would like me, I can email, and I can share with you what are the different options, or which brands or supplements might be very useful. That's absolutely fine. So I'm going to be very happy to do it later on.
Mm-hmm. That would be awesome. Thank you.
No worries. Anyone else? Any questions? I'm just concerned that you might not have enough time, so I'm very happy to answer questions. If you would like to email me later on, that's absolutely fine. Right. So if you don't have any questions, I would like to thank you for participating today. I hope you have learned something new. And I hope you can all keep well during this time of the year. Thank you very much. And I wish you have a lovely day today, and good luck. Thank you.